All right, what's going on, guys? I tried to open the window because yesterday the noise in this specific room, it wasn't great, so apologize about that. I still need to get an actual setup going to where I've moved. All right, that game was insane. So Liverpool wins 3-2. It felt like prime Barclays. It felt like we went back in time because I haven't seen a game that rowdy both ways. Fouls, the entirety of online disagreeing with pretty much every single call that was made. I mean, this was one of those games where a lot of how the outcome of the match goes is down to the referee decisions. You guys know me at this point. I'm not trying to give too much opinions on it because I don't even personally understand it, some of these decisions, and I'm not even referencing this game. So if you guys want to get an opinion out of me if something was a call or not, I'm not going to be that guy. The main decision in this game was Anthony Gordon gets sent off for a challenge on VVD. I did see a lot of people in the second half, a lot of the times where Newcastle started long ball and, throwing the freaking long headers into the long throws into the box for the headers. Liverpool fans were dragging players down, and people were upset about that because yesterday in the Fulham game, if you watch that versus Manchester United, Bassi on Fulham literally took down the United player, Bruno Skies the pen, but that's essentially what that was called yesterday, and it wasn't called like 3 or 4 or 5 times today in the Newcastle game. So, regardless, I got a lot of talking points. Liverpool somehow now, are 6 points, which, to be honest, is it undeserved? Yeah, but they've got 6 points. You could also say the same that maybe Arsenal should have won the first game and they've got 6 points. So that is generally the theme for these teams. They all need some luck. You need luck to be good. And I said this last season because Liverpool at this point now, especially the last couple of seasons, they've kind of been like this over the years. They get a lot of luck, they get calls, but they also take advantage of the situations. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Today, they should have lost the game, okay? They probably should have lost this game. They were playing so bad. I mean, honestly, my concerns going forward for Liverpool in the league are real. And, when I made my Premier League prediction video, I have Liverpool 1, if you missed that video, right? So I have Liverpool 1, Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3. Okay, that's what I had. And what I said was that I think it's going to come down to the last match week between these 3 teams. I don't think there's going to be a runaway Premier League winner this year. I feel confident about saying that, at least that statement. Maybe not my top 3, because I'm watching Liverpool, and people made this team seem like they were going to be a 15-point clear team. And what I said was that, look, they won the league by 10 points last season. They did not close the season well. And I don't think it's going to be a season where they're going to be just way better than everybody else again this year. I think a lot of other teams upgraded. We've seen that. A lot of other teams do look better. And, ultimately, guys, they get 2 game winners now. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about the game a little bit before we break down Liverpool and kind of a little bit of a rant, because I want to rant a little bit about Liverpool. Florian Wirtz, I've been very not so satisfied. So let's just talk about the game. Then we'll talk about my opinions on Liverpool. It is going to be a little bit of a rant because I'm not happy with them, and I think they need to do a lot more if they want to win seriously this season. But again, it's a similar situation to Arsenal that I was talking about for match week 1. You still can't be too critical because they won the football game. At the end of the day, this is a results-based sport. If you get a win, who cares how it went down, okay? So we start this game. Gravenberch, pretty much Newcastle controlled the first 30 minutes of this game. Did not get a goal to show for it. Looked like they are clearly lacking the striker. Isak, nowhere to be seen. One of the most talented and expensive players in world football is not playing because him and his club have a disagreement. I'm not taking sides. I don't know. Now, obviously, he's not going to Liverpool because Ekitike is looking like he is going to be the signing of the season. I'm going to say it. This guy is insane, okay? As a striker, watching him, nah. I mean, no way. Even if Jokic outscores him, even if Sesko gets going, even if, Joao Pedro, I do really rate him, but I think he's going to end up being the guy. They spent so much money on Florian Wirtz, right? And that's the one that everybody thought was going to be the guarantee. And I think Wirtz is going to find his way. But I think we're going to get to the end of the season. Wirtz will have an all right season, and some people will definitely say he was a bust. I think people are going to be like, Ekitike in world football was the signing of the year. He is phenomenal. So, look, Gravenberch gets the goal. It was a really nice shot. They had him back in the lineup today. Liverpool today went out with the 4-2-3-1. Newcastle the 4-3-3. They had Jones and Gravenberch, and they did go with Szoboszlai at right back. Now, I love Liverpool, obviously, when McAllister is playing. I'm like a huge McAllister guy. So even just that midfield, McAllister and Gravenberch for me is what I want to see. Obviously, McAllister picked up a little injury. He didn't play today, obviously, and then Frimpong is people have been like, why is Soboslai playing right back? It's because Frimpong picked up a little bit of an injury. But regardless, Gravenberch takes a shot. It was pretty lucky with the flow of the game. Newcastle pretty much dominated the first 30, I felt like. And then Gravenberch takes a shot pretty much like through one person's leg, and then I think it was like a little deflection. It was a really nice finish. And then you had Ekitike, guys, who basically, you go into halftime, there's the red card on Gordon for the high challenge on VVD. Okay? They come right out of halftime, and Ekitike gets a nice slip pass from Gakpo, who had 2 assists today. And I say this, I'm very optimistic because I said this about game 1. I said, look, with Liverpool, if you can get 3 out of 4 playing well, it's a huge success. Game 1, who gave you the good game out of the attack? It was Ekitike and Gakpo. So you have those 2 players playing in good form 2 games out of 2 now. Salah and Wirtz have nowhere to be seen. I'll say this though, and this is the greatness of Salah. Salah got an assist today. Salah was missing for the whole game today. Again, it was another game where we see Salah, who is rated as the best in his position, okay, by a lot of people, season after season, nowhere to be seen. But what does Salah do? It's the prime Salah game, and it's not even hate. Because when Salah gets going, he's a stat machine. He'll have 2-3 goals in his consistent games. In his inconsistent games, he still walked away today with the game-winning assist. We'll talk about it. Last game, did nothing the whole game. Had that one moment at the end, got them a goal. So it's just, that's what you get out of Salah. He's already on a goal and an assist or 2 assists this season. Wirtz got to play better. So Ekitike, the finish was immaculate. What I love about Ekitike as a player, he plays so simple. His understanding of the game for his age and how good he is going to be. I saw this take on Twitter today, and somebody was saying they now think, and it's reactionary, they think Ekitike has more potential than Isak. Now, it's obviously reactionary to say that because Isak is phenomenal, and just because he's not playing, people are forgetting about him. But I tell you, bro, I'm looking at Ekitike. I actually think this guy could make a serious career. Like, not even just Liverpool, France national team. I gotta say, I'm really impressed by him, his development. He's getting better and better. Seems to really choose his moments well. Just has that calmness. We don't see this in strikers, where the game is under control. His finishing is on target. His layuffs, his 1-2s are really accurate, so I like a lot from him. Gakpo, I think, really, we're seeing now Gakpo is getting his chance. Slot is giving Gakpo his chance. They sold Diaz, who's been playing well at Bayern, phenomenal actually, and Gakpo is really taking advantage of this chance. So it's good to see. Those are good parts as a Liverpool fan. Newcastle, right? They get the red card. So then you think the game is over. You think it's 2-0 and the game is all over. No, it's not over, actually. Newcastle, they control the whole second half. They end up getting 2 goals out of it. They get one in the 88th minute. So you think, wow, Liverpool choked this game. And then you almost wonder, you're like, with how bad Liverpool got dominated in the second half, guys. I mean, to be a whole game where you are a man down, basically a whole half, and you get dominated that way. I mean, Liverpool had 5 shots only today. 5 shots. Newcastle had double their shots, played a whole half with a man down. I mean, it is concerning, but I will say it's also very fair play to Newcastle. This is why I put Newcastle 7th. Newcastle now, after 2 games, they have 2 points. They have not lost a game. Sorry, they did lose the first game. They just lost this game. Oh my God, I'm tripping. So they drew the first game against Villa. Sorry, I'm all out of sorts. So they now, but I look, I'm still confident about Newcastle getting 7th place. I think once they sort out this whole drama with Isak, they're going to be fine. They're such a hard team to beat. And, the number one most kudos I want to give is Newcastle fans. That stadium tonight was crazy. Watching that game, it's oh my God, man, the energy was nuts. So what happens then? All right, the star boy, Rio, comes in off the bench. I got to say, Liverpool, for me, they have the goal of the game. They have the goal of the game. And this is where people get so upset, because you watch them getting tucked in. You watch them not deserving a win. And what does Liverpool do? They win the game. They win the game. This is 2 games in a row now because people think they're beat, especially this one. They did not really, in my opinion, deserve this win, and they won the game. And that's what great teams do. A lot of people struggle to understand and adapt that a lot of the great teams don't always put in a great game or a good game, and they're just inevitable. And this is why Liverpool have that championship DNA. They didn't deserve the win today, but they won the game. And these are the games that you got to get to win the league. These are the ones that, when Arsenal get that storm against United and they still win the game with like 2 shots, that's how you win the league. That's how you win the league. So Rio, the star boy, look, it wasn't just him. It was just, for football lovers, Chiesa comes in, links the play. The midfield brought the whole ball up. Chiesa goes out to Salah. Salah goes to I think it was Soboslai who was all the way up. I think. Don't quote me on that. He dummies it, and then Rio, the finish. I mean, I think he's 16 years old. They said it on the commentary. 16 years old. This kid as well had a hell of a preseason with Liverpool. So, look, I know that the reaction right now from Liverpool is like, oh man, we sold Diaz, we messed up. Yeah, you might have messed up, but you got a lot of money. He is a phenomenal footballer, and you might have a superstar on your hands. You might, because let me tell you this, for a 16-year-old to come in that moment and make that impact, the finish was not easy, okay? He's running onto the ball in that moment, and the curl, the finesse has to be perfect to the far post. He can't miss it wide. He can't put it to inside. You're playing against one of the biggest goalkeepers in the league. So, wins the game. Absolutely incredible atmosphere. I mean, plus 11 minutes of added time. This game was just, in terms of a neutral's watch of this, just, I mean, it doesn't get much better. It really does not get much better than this game. This is what, for me, I get reminded of all the Premier League days where I was watching the Liverpool squads that were so, sick teams. And even like that Newcastle squad in 2012, they had like Cisse, and like they just had such a cool run. And some of the nights in the older games where it's just, man, the atmosphere is always this way. And the physicality. Some of the players these days, it's so soft. This game was so physical, man. Like, so physical. So, look, I thought Kirkes had a really bad game. I'm not going to really talk about Newcastle. I will give huge credit to them because I think they did what they could tonight. They showed a lot of heart. They really outplayed Liverpool with a man down for half the game. Livermental was really good. I thought Trippier started the game well. Didn't really necessarily close the game as well. But let's talk a little about Liverpool, going forward, guys. Liverpool have this problem. And the problem is, I think they are going to struggle defensively this season. To watch the way they got controlled. Yes, they're away against 10 men, man, for 45 minutes. A team that we're saying is going to be like winning the league. This is who I picked to win the league. Look, for sure you need more out of Salah and Wirtz. And I'm not going to over criticize them because it was an away game. You need, and especially Wirtz. If he's going to be in that 10 position, we need more out of this guy. All right? We need more out of him because he's been missing for 2 games now. They spent 150 on him. And look, as mid as Soboslai was in that position for them last season, he done a better job in most of those games than Wirtz has done so far. So Wirtz has got to adjust to the speed and the tempo and the physicality of this league. Trust me, he has the talent, but he's going to have to adjust. Konate really needs to pick up his performances. I felt like Konate has not started the season that well. Not that he's been playing the worst center back, performances possible, but he's not been on his A game. And look, they've had lineup changes. Kirkes wasn't great today either. Kirkes had a really bad game. Liverpool need to find a way to have more control going forward in the season. I just think that this style for them is not going to be sustainable. Now, for a viewer and a neutral, it's perfect. We love watching this type of game. But for the Liverpool fans, you need 3 out of 4 of your attackers to play well. It cannot be Gakpo and Ekitike every game. You can be happy that you signed a striker that's not a bust. That's for sure. Because that's the worst feeling ever. You pay that much money for somebody in that position, such a position that is just hard to find clinicalness and technique and doing the right simple things easy. Look, that's hard to find, right? So you found that and you got it. 2 games in, I'm telling you, give him the check mark. It's not a 1-game wonder. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. So you don't have to worry about that. But you need more out. I know the Salah fans are going to be like, yo, he's just hating on Salah. You deep down know Salah is capable of way more. Now, he made a difference in both of the games at the end of the game, but more out of the 90 minutes from Salah, okay? And Wirtz is going to have to find his way because they will need to continue, okay, to score this many goals with how they are looking defensively. And I just don't know throughout the rest of the season if this is going to be ultra sustainable. Going forward, let's talk about going forward. Do I still think they can win the league? Absolutely. Is this a Champions League winning team? I don't think so. It's really early. I don't think this Liverpool team is going to win the Champions League. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. The chances there. They can win the league. I predict them to win the league. There needs to be more control and sustainability going forward. Because they're not going to be able to be... Look, you can't get outplayed by 10 men for a whole half and expect you're going to go win every game. It's just... Look, these game winners, look, it's great that the kid Rio scored. It's what you want to see out of players that you can continue to develop and they'll get better and better. It's great that Chiesa came in. Both games I feel like it made a difference because Chiesa is going to get no credit tonight, But Chiesa's link-up play to go wide to Salah out of the 1-2s created the whole goal. So it was Laidami's real finishes, right? It's a whole team effort. They have a big test coming up, and that's on August 31st. They're going to play Arsenal. That is a massive game. So that is this Sunday at 11:30. It's a huge game to figure out really where both of those teams are at. They're going to have a couple days, probably at least a day or two of rest. They'll go train. But Liverpool's got to get their stuff together because the team performances have not been convincing for a team that is just not that great defensively. Even away, even though it's Newcastle, is hard to score. I don't like that you're creating under one expected goal. Look, I know you're going to call me stat merchant. I think they need to find ways to control the game more in the midfield. Maybe I'm going to eat my own words. When McAllister and Gravenberch are both in a lineup, they have their proper fullback in Frimpong. Maybe I'm going to eat my words. But look, I want to see more control, ultimately is what I'm saying, and I think they will need that to win the league. This is not going to be sustainable. But look, for neutrals, for people that like the Premier League, look at it in this lens. This league is wide open. I'm telling you right now, the league is wide open because through 2 games, there is no team, in my opinion, that has run away way better than everybody else. And there's also no point of us getting overreactionary, okay? Because Chelsea, look, everybody's like, oh, Chelsea's finished. They drew the first game. They look insane the second game. Man City looked insane the first game. Everybody, including myself, was like, man, we should have had this team top 2. They got bodied by Spurs. Arsenal, 5-0 after having a 1-0 where they don't look good. Liverpool, I don't think, have looked good in either game. So, look, this league for me is wide open. It's going to be interesting to see how this continues to unfold. The last talking point that I will say, a lot of people are going to say Liverpool are cheats, okay? I do think they get away with calls. I agree. I think if you look at all of the teams, okay, that are great and have won a lot, like if you look at the Madrid teams, like that have done all that work in the Champions League, this is a part of the game, bro. Like it's just, I don't know what to tell you. I got no opinion on it. I don't think any team in the English and the Spanish league are directly cheating with bribes and match fixing. I think there's a lot of luck that goes into this. I don't disagree with you that Liverpool are a very lucky team. I think every team has their motto. I think Liverpool is a press-heavy, lucky team. I think Arsenal is like a defensive, set-piece-heavy team. Every team has their kind of motto. So, I mean, that's just my opinion on that. Liverpool, Arsenal this Sunday. Let's see what both teams are made of. It's going to be really interesting to see. I think I'm concerned for Liverpool in that game, just out of the reason that, yes, it's at Anfield. They will have to dig really deep to defend those set pieces. And if they are still out, McAllister is still out, I'm also concerned about the control in the midfield. I am. Now, for Arsenal, Saka is out for that game as well, which is a big deal. I'm not sure if Odegaard is playing either. So, let's see. Both teams are going to be missing some players, but that is a huge duel. Don't be surprised if that's a draw. All right, guys.